Hello, my name is Sanna Valapuro, and I am new here. I've been a gamer for all my life, so I'm not new to games. I got into this industry by moonlighting as a games journalist. And I did that for a while, and that kind of got me to a social media moderation gig at EA. And that kind of grew over time, and one thing leads to another. And now I work at Windfall Studios as the creative communications director. And that basically just means I like to communicate about games a lot. But one of my core missions is actually to be like a link between the community and our developers. So as that link, I would like to introduce one of our developers, Connie.
Hello. So now that you know a bit about us, let me tell you about our studio. So Windfall is located in Stockholm, and we have the mission of creating high-quality VR experiences. And so we have a business-to-business side focusing on e-commerce, and we also have a game development side, which we are here to represent today. So our current development is our first title called World Apart, and it's an episodic VR adventure game for PC. It is about a worldwide conspiracy ranging from aeons of human history. So I think we just show you our teaser trailer.
We have a small teaser trailer
Yes.
we can show you. So. We don't have any sound, it seems, but that's okay. You can get a feeling for the visual vibe of it anyway. So World Apart is already out on Steam Early Access. Currently it's mostly like a technical demo. We have a lot of really cool updates coming for it soon, so it's a very good time now to get the game. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about the game, Connie?
Oh yeah, check it out. Do check it out. Give us feedback. Let us know what you think. We'll really appreciate it. It would be cool.
Yeah. So our studio has developers who are kind of new in the business, but also developers who have like a shared experience of over half a decade of creating amazing gaming experiences for industry-leading companies. But even with all of this amazing experience, we're all new here, because VR is still kind of new.
Yeah, so even though I think our combined experience from all the people working at Windfall is about like 60 years or something, VR is uncharted territory. There's new rules that apply, so everything that you thought you knew about game development and interaction design in games, you might have to reconsider that if you want to start in VR, because it just plays by a different set of rules. So because in VR you are literally in the world, surrounded by your environment, rather than experiencing the 3D environment through a 2D screen, like a little window into that other world. It's just, as a player, you have different expectations of how things need to behave, and it's very, very easy, unfortunately, to break immersion. So where in a classic FPS shooter or something, you would walk around, you would walk up to some sort of environment, and then you scan if there's something to do here, you get a prompt, you click the button, you're done. But in VR, if you walk up to something where there's a whole bunch of items and you try to reach for them and you can't pick it up, that just ruins everything, and people get really, really disappointed, frustrated, and they're vocal about that. So you don't want that. You need to consider that because your brain knows how physics work in the real world, it will apply that knowledge to the virtual world. So you have to get as close to that as possible, which unfortunately means a lot of work. All right, so we've already established that traditional interaction design rules don't apply to VR. Unfortunately, we haven't quite figured out yet how all those standards, next slide, all these standards, what they're going to be. So if you look at these, for example, everybody knows what a safe icon is. Everyone knows how to swipe something on their smartphone. When you get an app, you don't have to explain how to use it. You just swipe and figure it out because it's intuitive, because we have learned these rules of interaction for this medium. And that is what we're trying to do for VR. So The thing is that because all the studios working with VR, everybody interested in development with VR, has their own idea of how that should look like in the future, and everybody wants their approach to be the new standard. What that means for us is that our players who play a lot of VR games, there's a lot of different models for how you do even simple things like moving about or picking something up. And that results in us, on the one hand, trying to figure out and having to figure out how to make something intuitive, what feels right, what is easy to use, and what makes sense to people. But we also have to onboard them more thoroughly than usual, because we can't expect that people know how to move about. It's not like use these keys to go there and use this key to pick up the weapon. It's different for all the games, so there's no universal standard. And if you're anything like me and you've ever skipped through a tutorial like yes, sure, whatever, only to find yourself 5 minutes later having no idea how to do that thing that you need to do and you get stuck. Well, in VR that's worse because you have to take off that headset and chances are you're just done with that session because you're frustrated, so you don't want to go back in. So we believe that for VR, UX design is of utmost importance because if you have a really great game idea, it doesn't matter how cool it is. If it's not easy to use, if it's not fun because you get distracted by, I don't know, how you press a button or having to double check just to do easy things, that's not going to work out. So we need to know how to design things in a way that make people have a good time. And now Sanna is going to tell you about how she does that.
Since we can't do QA like a huge mega corporation can, we have to find another way of putting our game into the player's hands. So our 3 main strategies of doing that is what you're seeing on the slide right here. And I'm going to start talking a little bit about YouTube. So everyone knows that, oh, you want your game to be played by YouTubers because they'll put it out there and you get plenty of visibility. Well, that's not the only thing you get. You also get well-documented user research. So this is a player that I had personal contact with. I sent this person early access code. And within a week, I think, he made a video and he put it out there. And this is 30 minutes of super well-documented gameplay. And that is super valuable to us. And as a bonus, we also got to see what was going on in the comment section. That helped us see how are people reacting to the visuals? How are people reacting to seeing others playing the game? And that's like a private conversation between that YouTuber and his commenters. And we get to see it because that private conversation is happening out in the open. It can be kind of hard to find YouTubers who are willing to play your game. So don't set your goals too high. What you actually want is a not that big YouTuber. A YouTuber that is still on the rise, who takes reviewing games extremely seriously and is very willing and eager to put out new videos. So that's a very, very good example of how to do that. We discovered a lot of new issues actually when we were watching his gameplay. So that was very, very useful to us. And then there's something I call borrowing communities. So as a new player on this arena, we don't have a huge community of our own yet. That means that we can sneak into other people's communities and ask around if we want feedback. But you have to kind of be tactful with that. You can't like head into someone other's community and just start selling your game, because that's not what you're there for. So this example that we have on the slide right here, that was us having an icon issue. We came up with a bunch of icons for our menu system that we felt pretty confident with, but we need obviously the outside perspective because we understand them, but we have no idea if other people will. So I found a group that matches our target audience pretty well. Well, people who play VR games. Steam VR is the group I use for this, and that's a very, very large group with a lot of very, very active members and very passionate members. So I put a question out there. Hey guys, would you understand these icons? And, well, some of them did, some of them didn't, but all of them gave us feedback. Well, obviously not all of them, because it's a huge group. But we got lots of feedback, and that was what I came there for, and there was not just yes or no answers, there was a lot of like discussions going on. And that gave us a lot of interesting viewpoints that we might otherwise not have seen. And here's another one that should be a little bit obvious. Steam Community Hub. Our game is in Steam Early Access right now. So that means that the players we have out there, they are on Steam. They might not automatically go to the Community Hub and hang out with us, but some people do leave reviews. So if you find a review, you can comment on that review, like I did on this example. We got a really lovely review. So I commented on that, and I asked that person, hey, could you give me feedback on this very specific thing? It's only going to take a minute or two. And that's not a huge commitment. If someone asks you, hey, can you give me 1 minute and just reply to this thing, they are much more likely to do that than if you ask them to, hey, can you just generally be active in our forum? That's a huge thing to ask of someone. They will have to give tons of their time. So this is much more likely to give results. And it gave results, because that specific example led to the person answering the question I needed feedback on, as well as making several posts in the forum and interacting with other posts that were already there. And he actually reported a bug, something that we hadn't even noticed that was wrong in our game. So that was also extremely valuable to us. And we have a feeling that this is going to be a very, very valuable community member, because since then that person has been very, very engaged. So the personal connection to the players are very important for this thing. So yes, this is how we find the feedback we need, as well as discover the issues we might not have found otherwise. There are plenty of other ways to do it, of course, but these are like the core things we do. And once we have that feedback, I deliver that to our developers.
Yeah, so what do you do with all that information that you're hopefully getting? Well, first of all, as VR developers, we're really lucky to have a community that is so passionate about the success of the medium. They want VR to succeed as a platform, and that means that they want you and your game to succeed. Because if the market is growing because the medium is successful, they'll have more titles, they'll be happy because they can play awesome games. So we're all in the same boat here, and we really profit from that. So we have to listen actively, because our players are who we make games for. We want them happy, our audience. So the thing is, like with most things in life, you can't make everyone happy. And in a lot of situations, there simply is no right or wrong answer, just different opinions or preferences. Even with simple things that you wouldn't consider a problem, or you wouldn't think that they are problems. Something simple like, how do you move through the game? So most of you are probably familiar with the issue of motion sickness in VR, especially if you're not used to it. So just quickly, it is basically because of the mismatch from the information from your eyes and the information from your inner ear. They don't match, so your brain gets confused and you get sick. It's like when you're reading a book in the car and you just start getting dizzy. So we have found that typically people who are new to VR prefer the teleport mode. For some reason, that helps reduce the motion sickness. I'm not sure what's going on there. You would have to ask a neurologist. As a developer, for me, it's good enough to know that it does. So we have this mode here. But then the more people play and they get used to it, they tend to prefer smooth motion because it mimics how we walk through the world. We don't dash around or teleport. You have continuous visual cues of where you are and where you're going. So in this particular scenario for us, it was a no-brainer to just have both of these methods implemented and give the player the choice which one they prefer. So they can change the mode at any time in the game. And, well, the player knows best what they like, so we figured this just makes sense, and it's worth the effort. In another case, we got the feedback from a few people that they had trouble with really long loading times. And that led to a milestone in the development of our title, because we switched to a more MMO-like loading method model that